Welcome back to the Something's Wrong Here podcast. I'm Randy.
I'm Kenzie.
And when we started this podcast, we wanted to do good and help other people. And luckily, we've got with us tonight somebody who's doing exactly that. And he's going to tell us about his story. We got Rodney Smith Jr. How you doing, Rodney?
I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Doing real well. So you're all about helping and giving back to the community, right?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's hear about it. Like, what are you doing and how are you doing it? And what inspired you to do it?
Yeah, so what I do is I mow free lawns for the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. And I also have about 6,000 kids throughout the country that are, part of my program. And the organization is called Raising Men and now Raising Women Lawn Care Service. We're a nonprofit organization, and we mow free lawns for the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. And we also include raking leaves and snow shoveling in the fall and winter. And the way our organization is set up is like the karate system. We have something called the 50-yard challenge, and that's kids basically mowing 50 free lawns in their community for the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. And like I said, it's like the karate system. So they start with a white T-shirt, a Raising Men or Women T-shirt, and then once they mow 10 lawns, they get orange, 20 are green, 30 are blue, 40 are red, and 50 lawns earns a black T-shirt. And not only that, they also earn a brand new mower, weed eater, and blower. And when they complete the 50-yard challenge, I drive to wherever they are in the United States or fly if they're in Alaska and Hawaii, and I present them a brand new mower, weed eater, and blower for completing this 50-yard challenge. And this organization has been around since it started in 2016. So almost 10 years has been around just from one small idea.
That's incredible, man. I saw your posts on Facebook when it went viral on one of them, right? That was what inspired me to reach out to you. We'll just cut through it. And I think that something like what you're doing is one of the most impactful things for communities. And I really say that because I think there's one of the biggest ever gaps between the elderly or veterans of someone who, someone of that age, any of these kinds of people, and the kids you have mowing their lawns. There's a huge communication barrier there. And with what you do and with who you've impacted, what's the most substantial community you think you've touched at this point?
The most substantial, I would say, the people that we help, the elderly. I get calls all the time from people who are elderly, disabled, people in fixed incomes, and even the veterans. A lot of them say, "Do you have this service in my area?" And I get at least 10 calls a day. And then when they find out we do have a kid in their area, it means so much to them, because when a kid can come mow their lawn for free, that now frees their extra money, and they can use the extra money for things they really need, like food and medication and things like that. Because I have found over the years that there are a lot of lawn care companies that try to take advantage of the elderly. They try to take advantage of those who are disabled. I've heard stories about some guys that just come along and just skim the top of the grass, and they would charge an elderly person who on a fixed income $200 for that, and then they would come back the next week, and then the next week, and try just to get money. So when we can come mow someone's lawn for free who really needs it, it means so much to them. And I think the kids also get something out of it as well, knowing that they're making a difference in someone's life with such a simple act of mowing someone's lawn.
Is there a specific city or area that you have found most prolific, where you can speak to it, like where you've actually got the largest base or something like that?
Yeah, so we take kids across the country that sign up, but the area where most kids sign up, I would have to say it's Oklahoma. It's Oklahoma. I would say Utah. I would say Ohio. I would say Idaho and Texas. Those 5 states are where we get kids sign up the most every summer. You can guarantee there's at least 50 plus kids from those states alone that sign up and they complete the 50-yard challenge. But it's something, because it's every year, so it's something in those states that's going on, and the parents are getting their kids involved in the program, and they're going out there and they're not only just taking it on, they're also completing it. So we're trying to do a little case study on those states to see what it is.
That's awesome. What got you start? What? How did you come up with this idea in 2016? You said.
Well, yeah. So the idea came about in 2016, but I would say it really started when I left high school. I went to a boarding school upstate New York for kids with learning disabilities, and I was there for about 2 years. And it was the best 2 years of my life. I tell people all the time. And after leaving there, I went to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to attend ITT Tech because I thought I wanted to do something with computers. And I was there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for 6 months. And during those 6 months, I had a hard time adjusting. And then one night, for some reason, I just was in my apartment and I prayed to God and I asked Him to use me as a vessel. He didn't give me an answer that day, not a month later, not even a year later. It would happen a few years later. And fast forward, I'm in Huntsville, Alabama, getting my bachelor's in computer science in my senior year. And I was leaving school one day and I came across an elderly man outside mowing his lawn. And it looked like he was struggling. And I done what anyone would do. And I pulled over and helped that gentleman out. And little did I know that one small act of kindness would eventually change my life forever. And ever since that day, I've been mowing free lawns. And it was at that moment I realized a few years before that you asked God to use you as a vessel, and I felt that was the moment right there. And ever since that day, I've been mowing free lawns. After that interaction with that elderly man, I decided I wanted to start mowing free lawns. I went on Facebook that night and I told people about my experience, and I said, "Hey, if anyone knows anyone elderly, disabled, a single parent or veteran in the Huntsville community, let me know, and I'll come by and mow the lawn." And at first, my goal was to mow 40 lawns because I was in my senior year of college, so I thought I could mow 40 lawns in between classes. But I moved 40 lawns so quick that my goal got up to 100, and I mowed 100 lawns, and that's when the idea of raising men and now raising women lawn care service came about, just like that.
What was the biggest what was the biggest motivation to get kids involved when I hear what you just said, and I'm not trying to take away from that, but when was it that you realized you could do it, so you should get others involved to do it? Like, can you speak to that a little bit? I guess that's my generic question here.
Yeah, so for some reason, I just felt like, I wanted to give kids an outlet to get out there and help people. Help people. Originally, the goal was just to have kids locally here in Huntsville, Alabama, to come out and mow free lawns alongside me. But we ended up going viral on the internet one time in 2016. It was like in May of 2016. We went viral on the internet, and that's when people started learning about our story here in Huntsville. Then I got a message from a lady by the name of Shannon. She lived in Wichita, Kansas. And I got another message from a lady by the name of Lori. She lived in Marion, Ohio. And Shannon had a son named Andre. Lori had a grandson by the name of Quentin, and they wanted to get their kids involved. So I just told them, look, if your kids would move 50 free lawns this summer, I'll come out there and give them a brand new mower. And that summer they done that, and I went out there and gave them a brand new mower. And that's how the idea, to get 50-yard challenge came about. And but it just started like locally, just getting kids involved and just giving them an outlet to get out in the community and make a difference alongside me. It was like a mentoring program at first, you could say.
So you said you went viral on the internet, and it's so rare these days. It seems like that people go viral for good things. It seems like we reward bad behavior and bad videos these days. With that, it went viral for something good. Have you got any backlash, or has anybody said bad things to you about it, or got bad messages just because?
Yeah, I mean, no matter how good you can be, I can be giving someone that's dying of thirst a bottle of water. Someone's gonna say, "Why that type of bottle of water?" But even with what we're doing, people we got backlash. Why are you mooning for free? Pay those kids. Just a bunch of different stuff people will say. But we just kept on going. We didn't let the negativity affect us, and we just encouraged more kids to join, and kids started joining.
Have you ever had a community specifically where you were trying, not that you were like pushing for it, but that someone tried to sign up and it ended up not working out in the entire area there, or something like that? Have you ever had an entire community push against you?
I never had an entire community, but there are kids that sign up. Um, they may not get started for whatever reason, but it takes more than the kids to take on the challenge and complete it, and people don't realize that because it takes the kids and it also takes the parents. The parents are the ones that take them to and from each lawn. So if the parent isn't motivated like the kid, well, the kid is likely not going to complete the 50-yard challenge unless they take their little lawnmower and go around the neighborhood. But it takes a lot of dedication from both parents and the kids.
So does a lot of your funding come from fundraisers, Venmo donations, that kind of stuff, or is this something that you've been funding all on your own?
Yeah, so everything is funded by donations from generous people, and it's just like $10 here, $20 here that people donate, which allows us to do what we do. It funds the lawn equipment, the T-shirts. We had a gentleman by the name of Mr. Hawks. He ended up finding me on Twitter one day. I had a SUV, and he messaged me and said, "Hey, looks like you nigga need a bigger vehicle to deliver stuff to kids." And I joked and said yes. And he said, "Hey, just send me a message and give me a call." And I done what he asked. And he said he's gonna look into getting a bigger vehicle. I didn't think nothing of it. This is just a gentleman, a random gentleman, on Twitter. But he ended up calling me the next day, and he said that he found a cargo van. Would I be able to fly out to Nebraska and come and get it, and then drive it back? And I done that. I met him and his wife at the airport, and I drove it back home. So from that, even before that, I learned that you never know who's in the audience watching, and I tell kids that all the time. You have to represent yourself in a certain way because you just never know who's watching. And Mr. Hawks, he donated a van to the organization. He also donated funds to the organization. And I'm like, yeah, just tell kids all the time. You never know who's watching what you're doing.
Well, in a world that we always see in the news as bad things, were you surprised at how much people were willing to help and give and donate their time and money to this cause?
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised because this was just a small idea that I had, and I would have never have thought almost 10 years later it would have grown into what it is today. It just started with me coming across an elderly man, and now today we got almost 6,000 kids taking part in this organization, and it's continuing to grow every year. Every year, 500 plus kids sign up. So I never would have thought this would be possible.
With what you just said, it struck me that I want to dive into tonight's topic that we sent to you. What's wrong with men today, in your opinion?
Some guys are just all talk. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, but they don't take no action. You'd be surprised how many guys reach out to me sometimes. Hey, man, I like what you're doing. I had the same idea, and something just goes on off in my head sometimes. Like, so what happened? Why didn't you go through it? But they just said it was just an idea, and they never followed through. So I believe a lot of guys need to, they say they're gonna do something. Go ahead and follow through with it. Don't worry about how it's gonna get done. You just need to start the journey. You know.
I can appreciate that. I'm definitely curious with this, like, you know, some of these areas that you're reaching out and touching in the long run. I mean, surely you're walking into probably some of the richest and wealthiest areas where they're forcing their kids to give back, and then you're probably walking into some of the poorest areas where a single mom just sees it and goes, get your ass outside, go touch grass, get off the Xbox or whatever it is, and here we are. What are your what do you see when you go out there and meet these kids that finish this challenge? Can, like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing all different types of kids. I've seen kids with both parents in their lives, and I see kids in single parent households with just the mom or even just the dad. So I'm seeing a whole bunch of different kids. But like I said before, I'm seeing parents that are motivated, that want their kids to get off the video games. They want their kids to get out there and do something productive. That's what I'm seeing, and that's probably one or two of the things that every kid that finishes the program have in common. The parents are motivated. The parents want to see them succeed. There's a bunch of kids that even sign up and don't get started or even don't finish. But every kid that completes the finish 50-yard challenge that I get to visit, the parents are motivated and they want their kids to do better because a lot of kids these days are just on video games and inside and I'm sure you guys as kids, you guys were outside and playing outside and stuff like that. That's how I was as a kid. I was outside. I
Yeah.
was running in the trees and just making forts, having fun.
Out of curiosity, have you ever contacted something like and I know this might be off the cuff, but the Boy Scouts of America or the Scouts or whatever the term is today? I'm not here to hurt anybody, but whatever have you ever reached out to something like the Scouts program and like seen if you could get a badge made in your honor of that? Like, I'm just curious because the program you have it, it honestly it seems too good to be true. And I just see too much of it and I'm talking to you tonight and I know it's not. I know you're out there doing it. I see your posts. I see every kid. I see all these kids getting stuff and you know your posts just go on and on and on for every kid nowadays. Like I don't know if you've
Yeah,
had the opportunity to post on Facebook in probably 5 years.
yeah. So I never thought about reaching out to the Boy Scouts of America or whatever the name. I think the Scouts. You said Scouts of America.
I don't know
Yeah,
the
I never.
official term today.
Yeah. No, but one of the goals of the program someday would be to get into different schools, use it as a community service program because a lot of schools and colleges these days require community service hours. So, what better way to do that than to take on the 50-yard challenge while they're in schools and stuff like that? And
Well, I
just
believe
imagine if
a
the school could take
school
it
up.
on.
I believe a school up in Iowa is doing exactly what you've implemented. I'm sure you've probably seen it being in that community where they offer credits for going out and mowing lawns and doing lawn care for the elderly and military, I believe, is included.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean that's important.
I mean, the schools, there is a curriculum there. So
Mhm.
I think you're on to something to where if you could get it into the schools as an extracurricular for credits or something like that, I do think you would really be on to something.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think
I
the
mean,
give back of this would be incredible for kids today in education. I mean, the doing something for free, the getting out, touching grass, learning a skill. And I mean, I don't mean to be rude here, but there are a lot of kids today who don't know how to start a lawnmower.
Yeah.
And they're that right there. And I understand there's electric mowers. I'm not trying to play this game. The gas pull start mower. Okay, for all those wondering, that right there, if that eliminates somebody from knowing how to get going on that doesn't even make sense to me. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I don't believe we even have touched the surface yet with the potential because it's so many different ways the organization can go and getting kids involved. It's so many different ways. And like I said, it's not just mowing lawns. We also include raking leaves and snow shoveling. So it's a year-round way of giving back. Some areas it gets a lot of snow. In the fall, it's a lot of leaves in a lot of places. So it's has so much potential where it can grow into.
Well, and myself, I used to own a lawn care business, lawn and snow removal. I got into the gas industry and gave the business to my brother. He has turned it into a very lucrative business. He owns many rental homes and stuff. Uh, and that lawn care business has given him that financial freedom to do that. Have you seen from back when you started? I don't know if you've been able to keep up, but has there been kids that you've started and they have actually turned this into full blown businesses to where they now do that full time?
Yeah. So like when I first started the organization and the 50-yard challenge and stuff, I didn't realize a lot of kids were taking the equipment and starting a business and still mowing free lawn for those in need in the side. So we're creating entrepreneurs in a way as well. But there's been a good bit of kids that take the equipment and they start their own business. Some have become successful in the areas. But yeah, a lot of kids are starting to do that. They're seeing that lawn care can be a very lucrative business if they do it right. So they're starting with giving out free service, getting their skills in line and in check, and then they're going starting a full-fledged business and moving for those in need on the side still. So yeah,
With what please tell me, with your program, you're familiar with SB Mowing out of Wichita, Kansas.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, how do we put you guys together where we can just like non-profit franchise in a non-shitty way? You know what I mean? A good way. How do we franchise this great idea to have a hub in major metros and branch bigger? I mean, at a certain point, I know you got overwhelmed with what you were dealing with, and that's another question of mine for later. But with how do we franchise this without franchising it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's just finding the right people in each state to run a chapter of the organization, because it's needed everywhere. Wherever you go, there's grass, there's people in need. So, and that's one of the goals of the organization down the line, is to have chapters, finding the right people in each chapter. I mean, each state to run a chapter that's dedicated, to, to the organization and helping those in need. So, I think, yeah, that's it. Just finding the right people to run those chapters.
Love that idea, and
Yeah.
my brain's currently churning with names for that idea roster right there. Uh, Going back a step though, kind of touching on what I said with like, how do we franchise this without franchising it in a shitty way, so to speak? With what you've done, I mean, where did you realize that you single-handedly couldn't keep up and this was something bigger than you on your own?
Uh, when did I realize? Probably when COVID hit. When COVID hit, a lot of kids were home from school and they needed something to do, and that's when the website crashed. There was so many kids signing up. I mean, left, right, and center. It was a lot of kids signing up, and that's when I realized, wow, because before that we just had probably about 600 kids at the time. But when
Mhm.
COVID hit and parents were looking for the kids to do something that they can do outside, yeah, man, I had to shut down the whole website. I was like, wow. It was at that moment I realized.
That's the dream. That's the dream, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it is. I mean, so that was that moment. There's only been two times I had to shut down the website because there was so many signups. It was that moment, and then this summer I had to shut down a little bit because it was so many. A post went viral, and when things go viral, people left, right, and center signing up. I had to order new T-shirts because I had a certain amount in the storage. There was so many kids signing up. I had to close down the sign-ups so I can order more T-shirts to have a man to send them out to the kids because there was so many.
When you go viral like that, I gotta ask, like, when the website gets shut down, when you're viral and you're popping and everyone's calling you and everything else, do you notice in a performative metric in any direction that you could measure where when you go viral, 80% of the kids just don't complete it, they sign up and they never follow through? Or is there like a metric to this where you see it and is virality worth it? Let me ask you that. Let's start there.
Yeah, it means it's worth it because it gets the name out of the organization. But there's a lot of kids that sign up and don't even start, or they may do one or two, then fall right off. I don't want that. I want kids that are going to take on the challenge and complete it. Now, we don't put a timeline on it, so kids can sign up today and finish 5 years from now. I mean, the goal is just to get kids to sign up and work their way on finishing. So they can do, if they want to do 5 lawns every few months, that's okay. But the important thing is, if you start something, you gotta see it through and finish it. I've had kids like I have kids that started in like 2017 that recently completed it. But the most important thing is that they completed it. They they said they made a commitment and saw it through. So that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Uh, so, like, we're talking about, let's just, as a member of the Black community, the single motherhood rate's around 70%. Uh, do you see yourself as like a mentor to some of these children who don't have a father figure? I mean, are you there a little bit more, like reaching out to them and talking to them, or is it just they sign up and it's a challenge and they go for it, or is there like a mentorship that goes with it?
Well, the kids locally, you can say it's a mentorship because they come out with me on the weekends and summertimes, and most of the kids that come out with me are from single parent households, and some look up to me and see me as a big brother. And they got one kid named Juju. He calls me his dad. His father's locked up. He's in jail for murder. So he looks up to me as a father figure in a way. So I'm glad I can be there for kids like that, especially because they have no male figure. It's his mom, and he has like three sisters in the house. So when he can come out with me and Mo, we can bond a little bit, and he can talk about different things and stuff like that. So the mentorship is
Do you
really for the kids locally.
Okay.
do you notice any? Do you notice a metric that is offerable between like wealthy versus impoverished communities, or do you have a spectrum of kids across everything and it's equally balanced, so to speak? Like, I'm just curious. I always think that a lot of the people who come up from less realize to give back earlier, and so I'm curious if you see anything like that too. You know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I can only tell when the kids complete the 50-yard challenge. A lot of them live in good neighborhoods, and some don't live in the best of neighborhoods. But I would say it's kind of 50-50 when it comes to that.
Well, honest, it's a little bit harder for people in the impoverished neighborhoods to get started too, because they have to have their own equipment and stuff to get out there and at least, mow those 50 yards to start with before they complete. Correct.
Yeah, so they need a lawnmower.
Mhm.
One of the things that I saw like a few years ago, Mr. Hawks, he gave the van and stuff, and I told him my idea I had. I wanted to give lawnmowers to kids, minority kids, so they can have a
Mhm.
chance to do the 50-yard challenge. And I said I wanted to purchase 50 lawnmowers, and he funded that idea, that project. And so we gave away 50 lawnmowers, but out of those 50, only three kids completed it. Um, and I'm just still trying to figure out why. They wanted the lawnmowers, so we gave them the tools. So they had the tools. So what was the reason for them not to complete it? It could be many different things. Life happens for people. They can start the 50-yard challenge with a goal to complete it. Then maybe the mom or somebody got in an accident. You just never know. But yeah, we gave away 50 lawnmowers to kids to do the 50-yard challenge, but sadly only like three finished.
I think that's because, and I'm asking this in like wholehearted
Mhm.
good faith here.
Of course.
Do you think that is because you can't be given this opportunity? You have to take it on. You have to be willing to take it on, both parent, both child, so to speak. Like, this opportunity has to be a coalesced teamwork between whoever is signing them up legally and whoever is doing it. You know,
Yeah, it
I,
has to be that. But you can go. Sorry.
I'm just curious, like with regard to that, like, have you ever had the or not have you ever had? I don't need a single specific story, but like, have you ever noticed anything with you know when you're not giving out mowers? Because it sounds like you gave out 50. I don't know if you've given out more pre-challenge, so to speak, but like if you've with regard to this, like, I know that I've scrolled your Facebook posts, I've liked your stuff, I've been following you for a hot minute. But after I reached out to you, I realized like you're touching a lot of people, a lot of people's lives across this nation, and in doing so, have you noticed that the harder work ethic comes from anything specific in
Yeah,
parenting?
yeah. So like out of the 50 lawnmowers that we gave away, some of the parents you can tell.
Colesville.
All good.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Out
No,
of the
all good.
50,
All good.
out of the 50 that we gave away, you can tell that the parents were some parents were more motivated than the kids. Like the kids were just taking the lawnmower because the parents wanted them to sign up. And I think that's one of the reasons why some of the kids didn't finish the 50-yard challenge of the 50 that we gave away. That's probably one of the big things. If I could make a list of one of the reasons, that will probably be up there. The 50 lawnmowers that we gave away, the parents were more motivated than the kids, and when that happens, the kid's bound to fail because they don't really want to do it. They're just collecting a free lawnmower. You know,
Well, and unfortunately,
yeah,
we live in a world where if something's given for free, there's going to be a line out the door for people to try to collect it and not put in the work that
hmm
comes with it. And that's sad, but
it is.
it like Kinsey said, it seems like the ones that actually worked hard and made the sacrifices before were more bound to complete it because they started with their own stuff, with their own money, their own uh, gas, and
Yep,
were able to
I learned a
complete it
lesson.
because they started with motivation more than a incentive for a free mower.
Yep, and I learned a lesson, and I probably would never do that again, just because of the kids that completed it. I mean, the kids that received it and didn't complete it. So I probably wouldn't do that again. And there's been some like weird stuff. Like, was one lady out in Louisiana? She reached out. Oh, my grandson needs a lawnmower so he can do the 50-yard challenge. I said, man, we're not giving any more lawnmowers away. And she was persistent. So I said, all right, we're gonna send him a lawnmower. Sent him a lawnmower. And then a few weeks later, she's asking for a TV for her church. So it's just some crazy stuff. And it's also on the other end as well. So it's not just the kids. There's some people that just see free lawn care and they reach out to you to try to take advantage. So you have to weed out those type of people as well. People that are well off that don't really need the help. They just see free. So just trying to
Mhm.
keep it balanced, and you don't want to go into
What
people's
level?
personal business, or you don't want people to take advantage of the organization as well.
What level of abuse do you guys see? And I'm asking again in good faith because what you do is incredible.
When you say abuse, you mean like taking advantage of the system?
Yeah, like okay, so I have to assume. Let me give you some context with this question. I guess I have to assume when you gave 50 lawnmowers away and you saw 3 complete the program, you realized this is now a post program lawnmower giveaway. What was it like reporting that to Mr. Hawks? And I'm not trying to pry in a negative light here, but
Yeah, well,
like I'm assuming there was an instant learning curve of these are given away when people complete it, not when they started.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he understood, but he also understood the idea of giving the opportunity to kids that didn't have a lawnmower. So that was the big thing with that. So he understood we were trying to make things happen and give kids a chance, and if they don't want to take it, hey, we tried. We learned from that lesson, and we won't do it again. But people would abuse the system regardless. With that situation, and then people trying to take advantage because it's a free service. I've pulled up to people's houses before where they're saying, "Oh, we're an elderly person, and I really need help," but they're driving a BMW or Mercedes. So it's like you don't want to judge, but you're like, you can afford the service from a lawn care professional. You're just trying to take advantage
And
of
I'm sure you're not shaming people for that,
no,
but you're also looking at, well, you're taking this opportunity away
from
from
someone
somebody
else.
else that could
Yeah,
really use it. And that's disheartening, especially when you're putting your effort, time, and your life into this, and you want to give to those that can help, and then feel taken advantage of. So uh, that sucks that happens, and that there's people like that out there. And like you said, you don't want to judge, but at the same time, you feel there's more people in need
that
out
need
there
help.
for that
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, and takes away from people that really need it, because you can tell when you pull up to someone's house and the grass is overgrown, and they come out and they talk to you, hey man, I'm just going through it, and even the neighbors next door, their grass is cut perfect or cut decent, but their lawn right here is just overgrown. Like, you can tell when someone really needs the help compared to other people that try to take advantage.
Well, and that's sad too, is that a lot of the neighborly love is
Yeah,
kind of gone. That
it is.
the neighbor's perfectly manicured lawn isn't kind of hopping over and helping a little bit on that. So what you guys are doing is really, 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 how do I want to put this? Uh, Admirable, because
Yes.
there's not a lot of people willing to give their time, money, and effort anymore.
Yeah,
I
that's
got a
true.
question with what Randy just said, and that is how many times have you I maybe you've never documented it. I don't like you probably don't have a real number. So let's stop with metrics, okay? I'm assuming you've had a case where you guys have stepped in and not save somebody's life, but really impacted their income based on the fact that you had a kid start mowing their lawn based off of a volunteer program, and this was their, hey, this week I just can't afford chicken breast because I have the bare necessities to get by, and I got to pay someone to mow my lawn because I can't. Have you heard one of those stories like up close and in depth, like long form? Had a just a sit down heart to heart hours with any of the people you've impacted.
Um, I wouldn't say that per se, but we have impacted people because in a lot of cities, they have the city that goes around and measures people's grass, and if it's too high,
Fines
you
them
get a
and
citation
gives
and
them
fine.
tickets.
So I've heard stories about a lot of people that were about to get fined, but one of our kids or even myself has helped them out before, and that has saved them a lot of money because when the city come and cuts your lawn, it's a lot of money, $200-300 just to come and cut your lawn. Most of the people that we move for, the elderly, fixed incomes, and if they get a fine for $300-400, that's the whole, Social Security check for the month. So, like I said, if we can come cut the grass for free, that now frees their extra money up, and they can buy things they really need, food, medication, and stuff like that. So, I've heard a lot of stories like that in my time.
Well, Rodney, what do you got coming for the future? Like, whether it be on the books, ready to happen, or what do you want to see to happen in the future with this?
Please tell me you have a documentary that someone's filming, like the side of you right now, and people are starting to learn about you. Please tell me that's happening.
I wish. The goal. What I want to see is I want to see the organization grow. Like we talked about earlier, chapters. That's one of the big things for the future. Having chapters, one in each state, and then have someone run their chapter in their state. And I'm just overseeing everything. I'm here to travel, visit the different chapters. That's the big goal. Another thing that we got going on, I'm about to leave on my 20th 50 state mowing tour. So in 2017, um, I was in my internship. So I graduated my bachelor's in computer science when I started the organization. Then I realized my true purpose in life was helping people. So I went back to get my master's in social work. And during my first semester of getting my master's in social work, I was on my lunch break in my internship, and I was watching a video of this guy that traveled the world doing acts of kindness to others, and something just sparked off in my brain. Something called 50 States, 50 Lawns. And that summer of 2017, I drove to 48 states and I flew to Alaska and Hawaii, and I moved for people that we moved for, the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans in each state. So I picked one person, and I've done that the first time in 2017, and up until now, I've done it a total of 19 times. And after a while, when I first started, I was moving for core groups, and I started customizing lawnmowers for different causes. So I've moved for breast cancer. So I had a pink lawnmower, and I moved for those who have breast cancer, those who have lost a loved one to breast cancer, those who have survived breast cancer. And I mowed their lawn, and I got to sit down and interview them about their story, and I shared it online. So I done it for breast cancer, I done it for childhood cancer, I done it for police officers. I had a lawnmower with a light bar. I went to all 50 states, and I invited police officers out to come out and mow with me. And the idea behind that was to get officers and the communities and bridge the gap between community and policing, and that was pretty cool. One cool story was when I was in Rhode Island. I had like 30 police cars come out to one lawn. They thought it was a big drug bust in the neighborhood. And that was a cool thing just to have officers come out and support me. So they had the SWAT team, they had the chief, they had, the patrol officer. That was so cool. Yeah, they came on to support. They moved with me and cheered me on. I moved for veterans before. I moved for autism. I mowed for a bunch of different causes, and I'm about to go on my 20th one. So this one's for veterans and active duty military. So I have a lawnmower that's spray painted, or not, it's airbrushed with the American flag. And then I have another lawnmower that has the 22 on it because was a statistic that said 22 veterans commit suicide a day. So I want to raise awareness for veterans with PTSD, and I'm going to auction those lawnmowers off and give 100% of those proceeds to organizations that support veterans and active duty military. So I'm getting that right now, putting everything in order for that. So September 17th, I'll start that journey. And it takes about 21 days to go to all 50 states. So I'll drive to 48 and fly to Alaska and Hawaii. But that's a very aggressive schedule. So, but I enjoy it. Yeah. So that's what's coming up in the works. And having more kids to take on the 50-yard challenge. This year so far, we have had about 600 plus sign up for the 50-yard challenge. And it seems like every single year we're getting more and more kids to sign up. And, with more and more kids to sign up, that means more and more kids are going to finish. And, that's good to see more kids signing up and finishing as well. So,
With what you just tossed out there, you've just drove an icicle pick in my brain here. What do you have as a message for kids nowadays? What do you have as a message for the youth? You seem like, and I know that there's some context I'm going to offer here, but you seem like one of the most humble, appreciative people I've ever met in my life. You don't seem like you're getting rich off of this, no offense. And I I want to know, what do you have to say to kids nowadays as a generic message?
generic message to tell people all the time is there's many ways to make a difference. I've simply chosen a lawnmower to make a difference with, and my goal is just to encourage kids to get out there and make a difference, just like me, one lawn at a time. And it doesn't have to be with a lawnmower; it can be with anything. If you see a need in your community, try to fulfill that need. You may see a bunch of different elderly people coming out and needing help with trash can being pulled to the roadside. You can start with just that. There's so many different ways to make a difference, and I encourage kids just to find that need in their community and make a difference.
You said you had 600 people sign up already this year. Obviously, that takes a lot of funds and stuff. Is there a fear that those funds are going to end at some point, or is there always a new stream coming in with? And I know you're a content creator on the side, kind of putting it out there on the internet, showing people, and those viral moments help. But is there a real fear that this can't keep going on the way it is?
Yeah, there's been fears, wondering where funds are going to come from, but I just believe in if you do the work, people will support, and there's a lot of people that believe in the organization. I don't really ask for donations. If you look at my whole social media, I'm not on there asking for people for donations because I just believe if we do the work, people will support, and people have supported. And I also believe if I did need to, raise funds for something, the people will come through and they will help support it. So there is a fear, but I also have that feeling that if we need to fundraise, people will support it.
Rodney, I can't thank you enough for what you got. We're gonna go ahead and get our final thoughts in here, and I want to hear what Randy's got. I've got a fun one for you, and then we want to hear, obviously, your solo, what you got back for us on what we've talked about tonight. So, Randy, what do we got on final thoughts here?
Final thought on what we've talked about is go look up Rodney, go find his page, go to our description, and we're going to have all his information on there. Go donate. I'm going to go donate. So I challenge everybody else that sees this video, please go donate to his cause, because this is something I believe in. I don't see many people out here helping and getting kids involved in this way. So please, if you're listening, watching, go to the description, click on the link, and make sure that you help Rodney out some. That's my final thought.
All right, Rodney, I've got two questions for you here. Number one, did it hurt?
What's that?
Did it hurt
We talking
What
about?
hurt?
when you fell from heaven? I'm not big on the
Ah.
Bible, my guy. I'm not. But I won't lie to you. If there's an angel out here, good God, you sound like real good representation for one. All right,
Appreciate
I'm
it,
just
man.
gonna say it that way. And then number two is I actually have family and a few others that are high up in the Boy Scouts of America representation and organization. Are you open to a conversation with them if I could make one happen? I can't promise anything, obviously. I hold no bar here, but like
Yes.
if I could put them in touch with you, I could see Boy Scouts jumping on what you have and a merit badge. Don't send these kids t-shirts. Just send them a merit badge when they're done. And man, if you linked up with something as powerful as the Scouts, you just touched every school, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. You're
Yeah.
square. Like, are you open to this?
Yeah, of course. Anything that's gonna, get the message out and get more kids involved. I'm up for it.
All right, Rodney, what do you have for us? Final thoughts on what we've had after all is said and done tonight.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to talk with me about the organization, and sharing our message with your audience. And I encourage people that we all have ideas. Ideas come to us for a reason. And if you get this idea, you might think it's crazy, but just put it to work. You never know where it may lead you. A simple act of kindness, a simple idea has led me down this path. I would have never have thought it would take me to all 50 states 20 times, having 6,000 kids. Funny story is, when I was younger, I disliked mowing lawns. I hated it, but God told something I disliked and turned to something I love to do. And every single day I'm mowing free lawns. So you just never know where life would take you. I went to school to be a computer scientist. Now I'm mowing free lawns.
Mhm.
So, I'm doing what I love every single day. I got to wake up and do what I love. So if you have an idea, you know, f- you know, you have that idea for a reason. So see it through.
So wait, but before we actually hang this up, just to clarify, you're a nerd. You're a, as Scrubs put it, a black nerd who has a comp sci degree, but realized your hatred for mowing lawns was clearly your forward path into life. I want to make
Yeah.
sure we wrap this up correctly.
Yeah, I mean, you can ask my parents. When I was a kid, I hated mowing lawns. Back in the day, that's when we had CD players and with the non-skip CD. I was outside
Yep.
mowing lawns. I hated
How,
it, man.
all right, how many seconds ASP anti-shock protection was your walk or your Discman? Sorry.
How many?
How many seconds ASP anti-shock protection was your Discman when you
I mean,
started
that's
mowing
years ago.
lawns with a seed?
That was years ago. I can't even remember, man.
My mom was like 15.
I would say you hit a bump, and I'm assuming that CD just
Man, CD player. I remember CD players. Then you had the introduction. You had LimeWire. Oh man, bring back memories. LimeWire. Then you had the little the iPod. You know, that was
Yep,
game
your
changer.
the
That was
original
game
iPod,
changer.
that little.
Woo!
Yeah. Well, I know you don't ask for donations, but please plug your site. Tell us your Venmo.
yeah.
That way, hopefully, one person, if
Yes.
if nothing else, donates.
Yeah.
So tell us where they can find you.
You can find me at Facebook, Rodney Smith Jr. Instagram, Rodney Smith Jr. On Twitter or X, it's I am Rodney Smith. And we have a website at weareraisingmen.com. And on our website, you can find different ways to donate.
Awesome. We will attach that link. And I just want to say, Rodney, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Hopefully
Thanks.
it grows and you see your vision follow through because you're truly, I feel that your cause is worth it.
Yeah.
Thank
Rodney,
you so
thank
much.
you again for your time.
No
Appreciate
problem.
you taking the time out of your
Appreciate
schedule,
you
man.
guys.
Well, have a good day and keep doing what you're
All
doing,
right.
man.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Take care.